What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Season 7, Episode 12. So I've kind of been a little bit, having the Sunday blues like I usually do on Sundays. And so I thought that watching 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After would uplift my spirits. I might have a cackle or two over these people's shenanigans. And after the 2 hours of watching it, I actually felt worse than I did when I started watching it. So let's get into Usman and Kim. So Usman and his mother, they go to meet the young lady that his mother wants him to marry first. They go to her mother's house, and her mother is a friend of Usman's mother. So the two mothers, they got together, and they had decided that this young lady by the name of Farida would be a good match for Usman. So Usman goes there to meet her. As much as I don't want Usman and Kim to get married because I don't think that they're right for each other, I feel even worse about Usman and Farida because she's only 18 years old. She's a beautiful, young, intelligent 18-year-old girl. And I think she's way too good for Usman. And I also think she's way too young for Usman. And I understand that, 18 is of legal age. Even with our own American standards, 18 is of legal age. But the thing is that Usman, he's so full of shenanigans. He's so full of that BS. He's so conniving. He's manipulative. He's a liar. You don't know if he's coming or going. So to put that on a young, impressionable 18-year-old girl, I would not agree with it at all. Maybe he would be different with a woman who is from his own country and who he shares a culture and a language and a religion with. Maybe he would treat her a little bit differently. But the Usman that I know, I would not feel comfortable with him marrying somebody who is so young and so impressionable. I don't know if an 18-year-old is equipped to handle Usman and the shenanigans that he's got going on with Kimberly. I just don't know. So they get there. The house is very pretty. He meets Farida. He's impressed by her because she's a very pretty girl. The mothers decide to leave them alone so they can have a conversation one-on-one. The first thing he asks her, or one of the first things that he asks her, is how many competitors does he have? How many other men is he competing with to gain her heart, her love, her hand in marriage, whatever? She tells him actually none. There is no one else. At first, then he tells her that at first he didn't want to come. He was really reluctant to come there, but when he saw how beautiful she was, he said that he got very excited. And I know that when he looked at her, besides her beauty, I know that he probably just felt good to see someone who is from his own country, who is of his culture, who understands his way of life, a woman who automatically knows what's expected of her and what to expect from him. I know that probably felt like such a relief, to meet someone and to look at someone who is just familiar, who probably feels very familiar to him, instead of having to explain every little thing of how they do things in his region, his country, etc. So he asks her if she already knew who he was. And she says yes, she knows who he is from his music. Then he asked her how many children does she want, and she said no more than 4. And then he says, oh, that's really good because I also want no more than 4 children, or about 4 children. They both agree that they need to get to know each other better because he was really happy when she said that. She says, I understand that we're not going to be getting married tomorrow, and I know that we need to get to know each other better. And he was like, oh my God, yes, I feel the same exact way. Then he tells her about Kim, and he says, his plan is to marry Kim first, and how does she feel about that? And she said that she did not agree. And he asked her why not, and she says because that's not what your mom wants. Your mom is not going to agree to that either, so I don't agree with that. So then he gets her phone number, which I wondered why he was getting her phone number when it seemed like, Well, we'll get to that later. So Usman says in his confessional that she's perfect. She's beautiful, everything. She's a full package, but I love Kimberly. Okay, so what's your point? You can have multiple wives. Are you saying absolutely no to her because you love Kimberly? Like, I don't understand. You can have multiple wives. And from what we've been hearing, Farida would just be there basically like an incubator, just for someone to incubate your children, and that's it. You'll have no, maybe it's okay if you have no feelings for her, no attachment to her. What I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, when they met, it looked like there was an attraction there on both ends. It looked like he was, interested in her. He asked for her phone number. He was worried if she was seeing someone else. But then in his confessional, he's just like, yeah, she's perfect. She's beautiful, but I love Kimberly. Let's move on. So after the meeting with Farida, the mother asks Usman how it went, and Usman says, I found no fault in her. We do need to get to know each other better, but I still love Kimberly. He goes back to the hotel where Kim is waiting for him. Usman tells her, he kind of downplays a little bit. Like just how lovely she really was. He kind of downplays it. He says, oh, she's okay. She wasn't like, fine or anything. She was okay. But later on, he does tell her that he considered her beautiful. And Kim says that she's hoping that this is going to prove to his mother the fact that she allowed him to go meet another woman, a potential wife. She's hoping that this is going to prove to his mother that she is very committed to Usman, that she's willing for him to marry another woman, even though that's not a part of her own culture. Kim tells him that everything is happening way too fast. She says, I just proposed to you, and now you're meeting another woman, someone that you could potentially marry. Everything is just moving too fast. She says we didn't even have an opportunity to really enjoy our engagement. I don't even know why she brought this up. I have no idea why she brought this up. I don't know what she was expecting. Her time there is limited. It's not like she's going to be there for months and months. She proposed to him when she decided to propose to him, and it just so happened to be around the time that his mother had made arrangements for him to meet this other woman. She points out to him that he's not even wearing the ring that he had promised her he would never take off. Usman says in his confessional that in my region, we don't really wear wedding bands or wedding rings, and I didn't want to cause any drama by showing up to another woman's house wearing a ring that Kim gave me. Kim believes that she has sacrificed so much, with traveling back and forth to and from Nigeria, accepting the fact that he's going to have multiple wives, putting up with his crazy brother Farouk and all of his crazy questions. So she's like, I have sacrificed so much for him that I deserve his mom's blessings. Now it's the last day for her to be in Nigeria, and the mother has initiated a meeting with them. This is the first time that the mother has wanted to meet with them. So they're both extremely nervous. They don't know exactly why the mother would want to meet with them, and they're worried about what this could possibly mean. So Usman tells his mom that he's really not like set on marrying Farida because he's got this love for Kim, and he wants to marry the one that he loves, and he wants Kim to be the first wife. So then the mother and his brother Muhammad say, well, we have something for you. So they pull out this envelope, and it was basically like a marriage contract of some sort or a marriage agreement. And they tell them to read it, and it's written in English, and so Kim is reading it, and it's basically the mother giving her consent or giving her blessings for them to get married, for her to be the first wife, under certain conditions, that she has to allow him to travel to Nigeria quite often, and she has to allow him to have another wife so that he could have children. And so she's like, as long as she saw the thing about the first wife, she probably didn't care about whatever else it had on it. She was ready to sign. So this was the mother's way of giving the blessing. So they're very, very happy, very, very excited. And my only question is this. I don't know, because I thought that Usman was interested in Farida, but as excited as he was to get the blessings from his mom to marry Kim, um, if he wasn't interested in her, I don't understand why he even took her phone number. Like, does he plan on continuing to communicate with her? Like, I didn't understand that. So Kim got what she wanted. Kim got what she wanted. I guess she's going to be the first wife. The way that I see it, in my own personal opinion, I think that Usman had a conversation. Usman and maybe even the brother Muhammad had a conversation with their mom, and they basically were convincing the mother, you got to understand that this is a business arrangement for Usman. Usman wants to marry this woman just for him to go to America, for him to get his papers, go to America, and to basically further his career in America, to be able to make, real money or whatever the hell he's trying to do. So, I'm thinking that they got to the mom and they convinced her that, look, you need to let this happen if you want your son to have a better life, if you also want to have a better life, because if he does better, you're going to do better. So let's just make this happen. She's going to get what she wants, which is this first wife title. Usman's going to get what he wants, which is American citizenship and a chance to further his career. And, you're going to get the windfall of it all. So just go ahead and give your consent and let this happen. And then later on, he's going to marry a woman from our region. He's going to be able to have children. So it's a win-win all the way around. This whole first, second, third wife thing is just a technicality. Just go ahead and let it happen. So the mother, I think, she finally understood or began to realize what this is really all about. It's not that he's just going to go disappear in America and then that's it. There's levels to this, right? And this is just, a money grab. This is just, a way for him to get to the bag. And so the mom was standing in the way. And so she finally went ahead and understood what the deal was and understood the what's up. And she went ahead and gave her consent. That's how I see it. I don't see Usman, I don't see him really I see more affection from Michael to Angela than I see from Usman to Kim. I would even venture to say that maybe there was more affection between Usman and baby gal Lisa than I see between Usman and Kim. Kim is just coming off so extremely desperate. And another thing about Kim, she's so annoying. It's kind of like, because she's so persistent, because she's so relentless, she's like a dog with a bone. She's just not gonna let go until you gets to the point where you're just like, you know what? Okay, fine, girl, you can have whatever the hell you want. Just shut up and go away. That's how she comes across. It's to the point where it's just like, for her to quit whining and begging and pleading for the same damn thing every single day, just go ahead, make this woman your first wife so that she can get the hell out of my damn face. Anyways, moving on to, if I was the mom, I probably would have given my consent as well, just to get her to shut the hell up. Moving on to Bilal and Shaida. See, I'm just getting more and more cranky. Bilal and Shaida. So they're on their way to New York City to meet Shaida's friend, Utrus, who's coming from London to visit Shaida. As they're packing, Bilal makes a comment about how much clothes Shaida's packing. And so Shaida says, all I know about New York is that it's the fashion capital of the world. Bilal responds with, that's all you know about New York? Why? Why does he have to be so irritating with every little thing that she says and does? It was just a figure of speech, Bilal. You're intelligent enough to know what a figure of speech is, right? Or did you expect her to give you a dissertation of the history of New York City, the socioeconomic, the different political systems, the government structure of New York City? Like, what are you talking about? It was just a figure of speech. If she would have packed a stack of money in her suitcase, and if you would have said to her, why are you packing all that money? And she would have said to you, oh, because I know there's a lot of shops in New York and I plan to do a lot of shopping. Would you still have said, well, that's all you know about New York? Obviously, she knows a whole lot more about New York than it being the fashion capital of the world. You were specifically referencing to why she was packing so many clothes. And she wants to be fashionable every day that she's there, because when you're in New York, you can't go there dressed like a country bumpkin. So that's why she responded with, it's the fashion capital of the, because y'all were talking about clothes. You were asking her about why she was packing so much clothes. And then she said, oh, it's because it's the fashion capital of... Come on, Bilal. So condescending, so irritating. Okay, in his confessional, he says, I need Shida to understand that if we had a child, traveling and doing couples thing is going to go out the window. Is it? So... people who have children don't ever get to travel just the two of them alone. Don't ever get to do couples things, because there's these things called babysitters, relatives that don't mind watching your child, to allow the couple, the mom and the dad, the husband and the wife, to do things just for the two of them. Like, I don't understand people who think, and I know he doesn't think this. It's just the fact that he doesn't want any more children. So he uses this logic to try to convince her to not have any more kids, or to not have any kids with him. I understand that. But if we're going to take his logic that once you have children, the fun is over. So people who have children just give up and die, just don't do anything fun anymore because they've got kids. Like, I don't understand. Anyways, let me just move on. So Shaida says, okay, so they're in New York. No, they're not in New York yet. So Shaida says, she tells him that I hope when we leave New York, I will be pregnant by the time we leave New York or whatever. And he says, do you want to have fun, or do you want to bring baggage with you? Her desire to have a child, he considers that baggage. Her desire to have a child. He considers it baggage. So they're in Times Square, or maybe she said that when they were in New York. I don't know. So they're in Times Square, and you know what? She did say that while they were in New York. I think it's when they were driving from the airport, and she was admiring the skyline of New York, all the buildings, and referring to it as like Legos stacked on top of each other. And that's when she said that I hope at the end of this trip, I'm pregnant. And that's when he tells her, do you want to have fun, or do you just want to bring baggage? Please forgive me for repeating everything that I just said, but I wanted to put it in the proper context. So Shaida mentions, so they're in the middle of Times Square, right? They're in the middle of Times Square, very iconic and everything. And she talks about how much fun they're going to be having, how happy she is. She's in the perfect city with the perfect man. And maybe later on they can have some adult time together. And he's like, oh, hell yeah, high five to that. And then she says, and hopefully that adult time will produce a baby. And Bilal says in his confessional, we're in New York. We could be doing so many fun things, but she's only focused on one thing. I don't understand. Like, you can still do whatever the hell. Y'all don't have children yet to stop you from having fun. You can still do all the fun things that you want to do in New York and still try to make a baby at the same time. Oh, yes, I forgot. You don't want any more babies. You don't want any more children, but you're just too chicken to say it. So they finally meet Utrus, and her friend Utrus did not come to play. Utrus came with guns blazing, and they were all aimed at Bilal. So they're sitting down at dinner, they're having a conversation, and right off the bat, she lets Bilal know what her intention is. That she's basically is going to interrogate him to find out exactly what he's all about, what his intentions are with her friend Shida, and like what's really going on in this marriage. And so she says to him, how do you feel about me asking questions about your marriage? And he says, well, it's our marriage. That's the point. It's our marriage. It's got nothing to do with you or anybody else. And basically, it's none of your business. So Shida tells Bilal to relax because he's coming off kind of aggressive. And Bilal looks at her and he's like, you're telling me to relax? I don't know if he meant that as in you're telling me and not her, or did he mean that as in you have the audacity to tell me what to do? Like, what? So in his confessional, Bilal says, the feeling that I'm getting is that Uterus doesn't like me, you think? And he calls her nosy. He says that she's being very, very nosy. And Bilal says, I've sat down with her parents. I've sat down with her siblings. And I guess he was trying to say, nobody has a problem with me. So why do I need to impress you when the people that actually count have no issue with me? And Uterus tells him, well, but you haven't sat down with me and I'm her best friend. Basically, you haven't gotten my approval. I haven't given you my stamp of approval yet. So Uterus says that Bilal is coming off very defensive, and Bilal tells her that if you're Shida's best friend, then you would know all the things that I've done for her. And then Uterus comes back with, as if no one else in the world can do those same things for her, like you're the only one that can provide for her. And but Shida, she's sitting in between them and she's trying to distract them with crackers and, asking them what do they want to order on from the menu, because she sees that the conversation is getting extremely tense. And I understand that it seems like Shida was wanting Uterus, I don't know, to speak for her, or maybe Shida thought that if Bilal hears what she wants, what she's expecting from someone else, if someone else can interpret or convey her desires in another way, that maybe Bilal will change his mind about the whole having children thing. Shida, I don't know. I have not known Bilal as long as you've known him, but I don't care how it's said, who says it, in what language, how it's presented to him. Bilal does not want to have any more children. That's what it seems like from what I've noticed thus far. He does not want any more children. So I don't know how you can sugarcoat it. I don't know how you can present it. It doesn't even matter if you put a nice little pretty bow on it. He does not want to have any more children. He's at that point in his life where it's easy living right now. He has his kids part-time, so he can spend the rest of his time doing whatever the hell he wants to do with this new, young, pretty wife. And he doesn't want to be bogged down with a screaming baby, changing diapers, a toddler running around, knocking things over, putting their sticky hands on his white furniture. No, he is not down with that. So I don't know. He might change his mind later. He might surprise her later, as they tend to do on this show. But I seriously don't think that he really wants to have any more kids, and I don't know what else to say. And if you wanted someone to campaign for you, on this journey to motherhood, maybe Uterus was not the best choice, because she's just a tad bit rough around the edges. I like Uterus. I like the fact that she doesn't mince her words and she says exactly what she means, and she's direct and straightforward. I appreciate that a lot. But someone like Bilal, maybe not so much. Moving on to Sumit and Jenny. So they're at the doctor's office. Jenny's got a boo-boo. She was on a chair trying to put up pictures, and she fell and she hurt her elbow or something. So possibly she may have torn a muscle, whatever. So the doctor's treating her. So then Sumit talks about how because she's older, her health is very fragile, and it's going to take longer for her to heal. Jenny tells Sumit, this is the reason why you cannot work 7 days a week, because accidents happen and I need you to be home with me all the time. All of a sudden, strong-willed Jenny, who's traveled many, many, many times to India, who was sleeping around with Sumit in his parents' house, under his parents' nose, without his parents being the wiser of what the hell was going on. Standing firm, with her love to Sumit and her relationship, like wanting to, she's willing to fight the establishment, for the love, for her marriage, her relationship. She's willing to go to battle with anybody so that she can stay with her man and keep her man. All of a sudden, Jenny wants to present herself as this weak little old woman, who needs constant round the clock care, and tells him that he needs to be home more so he can take care of her. And I'm thinking to myself, Jenny, please be careful with this whole thing about I need you to be home to take care of me thing, because what's going to happen is Sumit's going to hire someone to give you round the clock care, give you the round the clock care that you so desperately need, because it's not going to be him. So back at home, they're waiting for Jenny's daughter and her daughter-in-law to arrive. And so they finally arrive, her daughter Christine and Christine's wife. They finally arrive. Jenny is so happy to see her daughter. When they reunite, I mean, it kind of brought tears to my eyes to see, that love and emotion that just came pouring out between mother and daughter. It was really, really beautiful. So they go in, they start having a conversation, and the daughter says that she wants her mom to be happy, but she does have some reservations about this marriage to Sumit. So they're asking Sumit and Jenny, so how has life been like since y'all have been married? And Jenny says that, it has not gotten any better. Them getting married has made his parents even more upset. And they have, less tolerance of their relationship. And Sumit says that he's just waiting for his parents to come around and accept Jenny. He's still singing that same old tune about, oh, my parents. I'm just waiting for my parents to accept my relationship with Jenny, blah, blah, blah. The daughter thinks that Sumit should support Jenny 100% and put Jenny above his own parents. Sumit says in his confessional that Christina does not understand Indian culture and that she basically needs to stay out of it and keep her opinions to herself because she doesn't understand, the complexity of Indian culture and the importance of family and how it's important for children to have their parents' acceptance and have their parents' blessing in everything that they do. And that when your parents shun you and don't accept you, it's like you have a mark on you. So he's like, she doesn't get it. She doesn't understand what's really going on here. And I'm still going to fight for my parents' acceptance. And that's that. And if it means putting Jenny below his parents, then so be it. So he has yet to tell Jenny that he wants to have a child. And that's what I'm really waiting for. And, this has happened before. Christina and her partner, they've been to India before. They have expressed their concerns about Jenny and Sumit's relationship. They've talked about that with Jenny before. They've been through all of this before. Watching the Jenny and Sumit show is like watching a constant rerun. There is no new material. There is no new programming. It's the same damn show over and over and over again. Sumit trying to win his parents' approval. The parents not giving any approval to Jenny, not supporting this relationship at all. Jenny trying to convince Sumit, your parents will never accept you, so let's just move on. Sumit telling Jenny once again, oh, but you don't understand my parents. The parents not giving a damn. Jenny trying to convince Sumit, hey, let's forget about your parents and live our own life and do our own thing. Sumit, once again, my parents. It's the same damn show. Every single time we see Jenny and Sumit, it's the same damn thing. Moving on to Michael and Angela. Angela's packing. She's about to get the hell out of Nigeria. While she's packing, Michael calls her and begs her to see him so they can have a conversation. Angela says she still loves Michael and doesn't know what to do. And she says that Michael needs to prove with his actions that he loves her and that he's committed to her, and that whatever. He needs to show it with his actions and not just his damn words. So they get together to have a talk. He starts off by telling her, I'm going to delete my Instagram because I want to save my marriage. I love you and I want this marriage to work. So he deletes it and he shows it to her, which to me is absolutely stupid, because just because you delete this account, it doesn't mean that you won't create another account by another name. Now, of course, you're going to be posting pictures of yourself, and maybe, the people whoever is following you can relate to Janie. Michael has another Instagram account. But I mean, if he wants to use social media to connect with other women, he can still do that. Just because he deletes it and he deletes it in front of her doesn't mean a damn thing. He can create another account. He can go incognito and he can still be reaching out to other women if that's what he wanted to do. So if I was Angela, I would take him deleting his Instagram account. I would take it with a grain of salt. So Angela tells him after he deletes his Instagram and he shows it to her, Angela says to him, well, you shouldn't have had it to begin with. Then she demands to see his phone. I saw that he was quickly trying to do something on his phone before he actually gave it to her. She says something about don't delete nothing. He was like, I'm not. But those thumbs were flying. So he gives her the phone and she's going through his list of contacts and she sees the name, Angel. And she's asking him, who is this? Is this the one that you refer to as your person? Michael says she's just a friend from college or something. So Angela calls her and says, I'm Angela. I'm Michael's wife. I need to know why your phone number is in his list of contacts. The girl Angel says he's just my friend. And Angela tells her, no, he's not your friend. Go find your own friends. The woman hangs up. Then she starts spewing all of this stuff about, she just shows her jealousy. I don't know what she said. It's the same thing that she's always been saying. You can't have women on your phone. I don't want you talking to other women. You don't have permission to talk to other females. You can only talk to other people that I approve of, etc., etc. Then she starts crying and starts saying to him, what if I did this to you, Michael? What if I did this to you? Michael feels bad. He gets up. He tries to comfort her. He puts his arms around her. He kisses her tears away. He begs her, you have to trust me, Angie. You have to trust me. And then she says to him, so what are you going to do tonight? Are you going to come back with me? Or are you going to go home? And he's like, you don't even have to ask. And they walk off hand in hand back to her hotel room. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Why go through all of that if you're just going to accept him back in your bed? Why go through all of that? Why go through the stress of arguing, just running your voice hoarse? Like, why go through all of that? Anyways, I guess the fact that he deleted that particular account, because Lord knows how many others he has, but because he deleted that account in front of her, that was good enough for her. So they walk off together back into her bed. Moving on to Jovi and Yara. So they're out on a date. The first thing that Jovi says is, it's so nice to not have Mila around. Every time that they are alone together, he always mentions how much fun they're having or how much he's enjoying himself that his daughter is not around. And I understand, I get it. You like to have alone time with your wife. You like to go out on a date with your wife without having a baby. I totally get that, Jovi. I understand. But the fact that you have to voice it all the time, you come across as like someone who doesn't like having their child around, period. Because he brings it up every single time that they're alone together. We finally get a chance to be without Mila. We're having such a great time without Mila. And then Yara says, so you're saying that we can't have fun with Mila around? So his friend, I think his name is Talmadge. I have no idea. Jovi's friend joins him. His friend grew up in Georgia. He's from America. He grew up in Georgia, but now he's living in Germany. So he's now in the Czech Republic to meet up with Jovi. So they're sitting there and they talk about this whole apartment thing. And the friend sides with Jovi. They basically team up against her. Basically, both of them are saying to Yara, yeah, it's kind of fishy that you wanted to buy an apartment behind his back. And she says, it wasn't behind his back. He's my husband. There's no way for me to do anything behind his back. I was going to tell him, or I told him, or whatever. To me, it seems like it was behind his back, because he had no idea until he got to the Czech Republic that she wanted to buy her own apartment. And I refuse to believe that Yara was not planning this way before they left Louisiana. I don't think that she was planning this way before they left New Orleans or Louisiana, wherever the hell they live now. And I know that this is the reason why, I believe this is the reason why she wanted to go to the Czech Republic by herself so damn bad, because she didn't want him to know about this apartment. She wanted to look for her own apartment, search for her apartment, buy the apartment without Jovi knowing. That's what I think. So I think that she was doing it behind his back, and she wants to make it seem like the idea just struck her when they arrived in the Czech Republic. So as they're talking about the old days, when Jovi first arrived in the country that Yara is from. And the friend talks about all these girls that Jovi was hooking up with. And so Yara had no idea. Yara says, well, I thought I was the only girl that you met from there. I had no idea that you're meeting other girls from my own home country. And Jovi shuts her up by saying, hey, we both have a past. Okay. So then they talk about, Yara and Jovi going to Germany to go see one of her friends who has escaped the situation that's going on in her home country. So Jovi says, well, why doesn't my friend come along? Because her friend escaped the home country to go to Germany. So they're going to meet up with Yara's friend in Germany. So Jovi says, well, why doesn't my friend join us? Because he's from Germany. And Yara's like, well, this isn't some type of a party trip. Okay, this isn't for fun. My friend, was escaping, trying to save her life. And I'm going there to comfort her, to help her out. So this is not a fun trip. And so Jovi says, well, if I go there without my friend, then you and her, y'all are going to be talking, and I'm not going to have anybody that I can talk to, because y'all are going to be talking y'all's language, and I'm not going to understand what's going on. I'm not going to have anybody to talk to. So he keeps at it, and finally she's like, whatever, do whatever the hell you want to do. And so Jovi's like, well, can he come? Can my friend come? And Yara says, your friend can do whatever the hell he wants to do. So she ends up, agreeing. This relationship, to me, Jovi and Yara have never been like on good terms as far as I'm concerned. I've never really seen them mesh. There's always been some type of conflict between them. And it probably has a lot to do with Jovi still wanting to live the single life, or acting like they're just two young people dating, having a good time, instead of being a married couple with a child. And I know that's been Yara's problem for a very long time with Jovi, is that he never really he never accepted the fact that he's a husband and a father, and the partying, the drinking, the strip clubs, those days are gone. They're finished. Okay. You need to leave that in the past. Like, he's never really understood that. He's never really accepted his current role as being a husband and a father. He still wants to have the best of both worlds. He wants to be the husband and the dad, but he also wants to go out and party, go to the strip clubs, drink all night long, party all night long. He still wants to do that as well. And Yara is like, once we had this baby, those days were gone. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I'm a mom. We need to do parent things, boring mom and dad things, like staying home, watching reruns of Friends all night long, or whatever. That's the life that we need to be living now. And Jovi doesn't want to accept that. Like, he really does not want to accept that his life has taken a complete 180. So I don't really see it for Jovi and Yara. I really don't see it for them at all. And I don't know how much longer they're going to last, with her wanting to have this apartment in Europe, and her not really being pleased with him not being pleased with her. I don't know how much longer these people are going to last. So good luck to Jovi and Yara and their endeavors. Moving on to Andre and Libby. So Andre and Libby, not much was going on here. Her father talked to her one on one, and her father was like, you know what, the way you broke the news to your family that you're expecting another child just really wasn't that cool. And family is very, very important. And Libby tries to kind of act like I don't really need them or whatever. And so the father says, look, I went through cancer. I survived cancer, and I almost died on the operating table. And I don't want to think that my life was saved just to see my family being fractured like this. So how about we go to family counseling? Everybody go to counseling. So she's like, okay, dad, whatever. So later on, she tells Andre that her father has suggested that they all go to counseling. Andre didn't take it too seriously. He was just kind of like, yeah, I'll go to counseling just to prove them wrong, just to prove that they're wrong and I'm right. And he's not really that keen about it. He wants to go just to kind of rub it in her family's face that he's always been right. I don't know, whatever. So that's about it. I think that I don't understand why. I do understand why, because Andre's abusive and controlling. I was going to say, I don't understand why Libby can't just keep these two parts of her lives separate. Her husband and her mom and her sisters and her brother. Just keep them separate. Spend time with your family when you need to spend time with them. And then, of course, you're always going to be with Andre. But don't choose one over the other. Okay, these two are not going to get along. You're not the first person whose spouse does not get along with their family. As bad as Andre is, I would never bring him around my family ever again, because Andre and the rest of the world is like oil and water. He only gets along with Libby, his father, and Chuck. And just keep that dynamic separate from your family. I still think it's kind of crappy that Libby did not go to her mother's birthday party. I think that's really, really crappy. Your mom is going to turn 60 only one time in her life. You could have came there, made a quick appearance, and left. At least you could have done that, Libby. I think it's really, really sad how she's choosing this maniac over her own family. You want to be with Andre. You love Andre. The heart wants what the heart wants. Fine, girl, do your thing over there. But also you need to repair your relationship with your mom and your siblings, and understand that Andre may not always be around. Your family will always be your family. And your father wants this so bad. He wants his children to get along with one another. So I think Libby needs to try to fix it with her family and just keep her family and Andre separate. That is my review. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, do not forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later.